Roswell 1947, the secret never revealed. From a strange object crashing to a nationwide cover-up. 1. Introduction. The object that fell on a New Mexico ranch. July 1947, something crashed in the vast desert near Roswell, New Mexico. What was it? A weather balloon or something far stranger? The military said one thing. The press said another. But the truth, it's been buried ever since. Could this be the moment the world first met UFOs? Or just a well-planned deception? 2. The real event, headlines, retractions, and confusion. It started with an announcement. The Roswell Army Airfield claimed they had recovered a flying disc. Newspapers screamed flying saucer found. The world was stunned. But then, hours later, the military changed their story. It was just a weather balloon, they said. The press complied. The story vanished. Why the sudden change? Why did the military scramble to cover it up? Declassified files show strange debris found at a ranch. Metallic, lightweight materials unlike anything known. Yet, official reports buried these details. Witnesses came forward over the years. Rancher Mac Brazel found the debris. His account hinted at something unearthly. Why did so many remain silent for decades? Fear, orders, or disbelief? 3. Theories. What really crashed at Roswell? Was it a UFO, an alien spacecraft, or a secret military experiment? Some believe the wreckage was extraterrestrial, strange materials, unbreakable, and ultralight. Some say alien bodies were recovered. Others think it was a top-secret government project, a surveillance balloon testing new technology to spy on the Soviet Union. Or could it be a mix of both, a cover story to hide the truth about alien contact? The Roswell incident became the foundation for decades of UFO conspiracies. But what if the real story is even darker? 4. Emotional reflection. If you lived in 1947, what would you believe? Imagine living through this. A world recovering from war, the Cold War rising. You hear of a flying disc crash. Excitement, fear, curiosity. Would you believe the government's quick retraction or sense a cover-up? What if you saw strange lights in the sky yourself? Would you keep silent or risk everything to tell the truth? How does it feel to question your own government, to wonder if they are hiding secrets that could change humanity's fate? These questions haunt millions today, because Roswell is not just history, it's an ongoing mystery. 5. Open-ended conclusion. Why is the Roswell file still hidden? Why do Roswell files remain classified or redacted? Why do witnesses face silence or ridicule? Is the truth so dangerous that it threatens our understanding of the world? Or is it a simple matter of national security and secrecy? The Roswell mystery challenges us. What if we are not alone? What if governments know more than they tell? Could the answer be buried under the New Mexico desert, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover it? Detailed storytelling, full 1,500 words. July 1947. The American Southwest was peaceful. Yet, under the endless blue sky, something extraordinary happened. On a remote ranch near Roswell, New Mexico, rancher Mac Brazel found strange debris scattered across his land. The materials were unlike anything he had seen: thin metal sheets, strange symbols, and pieces that seemed too light to be ordinary metal. He took the debris to local authorities. Soon, the Roswell Army Airfield got involved. On July 8th, the base issued a press release announcing they had recovered a flying disc from the ranch. News outlets exploded. Headlines screamed flying saucer captured. People everywhere buzzed with excitement. Was this the first proof of alien visitors? But the celebration was short-lived. By the afternoon, the military issued a new statement. It was no flying disc. but a weather balloon. Photographs showed a standard balloon and radar reflector. The press complied without question. What happened behind the scenes? Why the drastic reversal? Declassified documents obtained decades later reveal fragments recovered were no ordinary balloon parts. They included metallic pieces with strange properties, incredibly light, flexible, and seemingly indestructible. Years later, several military personnel came forward anonymously. They claimed the crash was indeed of a craft not from Earth, and that alien bodies were found at the crash site. But why the silence for so long? Was it fear of public panic, national security concerns during early Cold War tensions, or a deliberate government conspiracy to hide extraterrestrial contact? The U.S. government consistently denied any alien involvement. However, the Air Force conducted Project Mogul, a top-secret project using high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. Many believe Roswell was a cover-up for a failed Project Mogul balloon crash. Yet, what about the eyewitness testimonies? Ranchers, military officers, even civilians reported seeing strange lights in the sky in the days before the crash. Was this a coincidence, or evidence of something else? The Roswell incident became the catalyst for decades of UFO research, conspiracy theories, and pop culture fascination. Movies, books, and documentaries portray it as the quintessential UFO mystery. But the official story leaves many questions unanswered. Imagine living in 1947, the world still recovering from World War II, the atomic age dawning, the Cold War's shadow growing. You hear reports of a crashed flying saucer. Excitement and fear mix. Do you trust your government when it quickly backpedals? Or do you suspect a hidden truth? What would you do if you saw strange lights yourself? Would you report them, or stay silent? The emotional impact is powerful. Roswell touches on deep fears and hopes. Are we alone? Are we being watched? Is our government protecting us or hiding us? Despite thousands of investigations, no definitive proof has emerged publicly. Why? Why are some documents still classified? Why do witnesses still face ridicule or disappear? Is the truth too dangerous? Or is it simply unknown? The Roswell mystery pushes us to ask hard questions. What if we are not alone? What if governments have been hiding the truth for decades? The debris found on that New Mexico ranch may hold the key, or it may be part of a far larger secret. The question remains open. Will we ever know what really crashed near Roswell in 1947? Lights over Texas, the Lubbock Lights mystery. Dozens saw them. Professors, students, locals, all at once. 1. Introduction. Strange lights. Perfect formation. No sound. August 1951. Lubbock, Texas. It began with silence. Then came the lights. Bright, blue-white, flying in formation, arcing across the night sky. Not once, but over and over. What were they? No one knew, but hundreds saw them, including some of the most credible witnesses imaginable, university professors, scientists, students. And they weren't alone. What flew over Texas that night? And why was it never explained? 2. The real event. What really happened in Lubbock, Texas? It started small. A few locals noticed strange lights moving rapidly across the sky. They looked up. They were stunned. Soon, the reports poured in. On the night of August 25, 1951, 3 Texas Tech University professors, Dr. W. I. Robinson, Dr. E. G. Oberg, and Dr. W. L. Ducker were sitting in a backyard discussing meteor activity. Suddenly, they saw them. Dozens of bright bluish-white lights streaking silently across the sky in a tight, boomerang-shaped formation. They were shocked. They couldn't explain what they saw. But they knew it wasn't birds, or planes, or meteors. Just 3 days later, Carl Hart Jr., a college freshman, took 5 photographs of the lights. The images showed a V-shaped array, the same formation the professors had seen. The photos were clear, the lights were real, and then more people saw them. Lubbock residents, military personnel, ranchers, families, even children. These weren't hallucinations. This wasn't hysteria. This was mass observation. 3. The theories. What were the Lubbock lights? So, what were these lights? Many theories emerged. Theory 1. Birds reflecting city lights. The U.S. Air Force, in their Project Blue Book investigation, suggested it could have been a flock of plover birds reflecting light from newly installed street lamps in Lubbock. But that explanation fell apart quickly. Birds don't fly in perfect, silent formation at high speeds, especially at night. And those who saw the light swore there were no wings, no flapping, no sound, just pure light. Theory 2. Secret military aircraft. Some believed it was advanced military technology, perhaps experimental jets or stealth aircraft being tested. But there was no record of such flights in the area. No sonic booms, no engine noise, no official explanation. And this was 1951. The kind of flight performance witnessed that night was decades ahead of known aviation capabilities. Theory 3. Extraterrestrial craft. Others whispered a different possibility. Could it have been a UFO? Was it a spacecraft from somewhere else observing us? Why Lubbock? Why Texas? Was it coincidence or choice? 4. Emotional reflection. When science fails, what do you believe? Imagine this. You're sitting on your porch. The air is still. The night is quiet. Then a flash. Dozens of lights soar overhead in perfect, eerie silence. They vanish into the horizon. Your heart pounds, your mind races. What did you just witness? Then, the next day, your professor, a scientist you trust, says he saw the same thing. And so did dozens of others. But the government says it was birds. Would you believe them? Would you believe your eyes? What happens when logic fails? When data doesn't match reality? Do you trust the official report or your own mind? That's the dilemma Lubbock left behind. The scientists were baffled. They studied the lights, timed the patterns, tracked sightings, but they couldn't explain them. That terrified them more than anything else. Because when science has no answer, what's left? 5. Open-ended conclusion. What did the government really know? The U.S. Air Force concluded that the lights were natural phenomena. But even the lead investigator, Captain Edward Ruppelt, admitted the witnesses were credible, the photos were real, and no single explanation fit all the facts. He called it one of the most baffling cases in Project Blue Book. So, why dismiss it? Why close the file without answers? Was the Air Force hiding something? Did they know more than they let on? Or were they just as scared as everyone else? The Lubbock lights remain unsolved. No definitive explanation. No confession. No closure. But one thing is certain. Something flew over Texas in 1951. And it wasn't birds. Full narrative. Lubbock, Texas, August 25, 1951. The night sky looked normal, still, quiet, but that calm was about to be shattered. 3 professors, experts in engineering and physics, were enjoying a warm evening outside. Then they saw it, a fleet of lights, pale blue, glowing, moving silently in formation. They were stunned. The lights flew across the sky in a smooth, curved pattern faster than anything they'd ever seen. Then they were gone. The men looked at each other in disbelief. Educated men, logical minds. Yet, what they saw defied science. But it wasn't a one-time event. Over the next several days, Dozens of people across Lubbock saw the same lights. They described the same color, the same formation, the same eerie silence. Then a young student, Carl Hart Jr., set up his camera. He captured 5 stunning photographs of the lights overhead. The images were shocking. No tricks, no hoaxes. Clear, bright lights in formation. Not stars, not planes. Something else. The photos made national news. The story exploded. Project Blue Book, the U.S. government's top-secret UFO investigation, launched an inquiry. They interviewed the professors, analyzed the photos, reviewed the reports, and they were stumped. The bird theory emerged, but it didn't satisfy anyone. Too precise, too fast, too bright. Others whispered of stealth aircraft, but there were no known tests in the area, no engines, no noise. Then came the alien theory. Were these visitors, observers, messengers? It's not just about lights in the sky. It's about what those lights represent. Possibility, fear, the unknown. For weeks, sightings continued. Every night, eyes turned upward, waiting, watching, hoping for answers. But the lights never returned. They vanished just as suddenly as they arrived. And the government, they closed the case, filed it away, labeled it solved. But the witnesses never forgot. Neither did the world. Because the Lubbock lights were just a mystery. They were a challenge to science, to government, to belief itself. They forced people to question what's real, what's possible, and what else might be out there. So now, over 70 years later, the question still stands. What flew over Texas that night? A secret craft, a natural event, or something not of this earth? What do you believe? Phoenix lights, a giant object hovering over a city. Thousands looked up and saw the same thing. 1. Introduction. A city paused. Lights hovered. Nobody understood. March 13, 1997. Something flew over Phoenix, Arizona. It didn't roar. It didn't flash. It glided, silently, slowly. A massive V-shaped craft, as wide as several football fields. No sound, no wind, just awe and fear. Over 10,000 people saw it. A governor, police, pilots, children, all said the same thing. But the military, they claimed it was flares. 10 flares float silently for miles. What really happened that night? 2. The real event, a night that changed UFO history forever. At around 7:55 p.m., witnesses in Henderson, Nevada, reported 5 lights flying in a V formation. Then, the same lights were seen in Prescott, Arizona, then Glendale, then Phoenix. It moved in a straight path. No noise, no blinking, no break in formation. Then came the main event. A massive black triangle, so large it blocked out the stars. It passed directly over the city of Phoenix, slowly, calmly. People pulled over on highways, got out of their cars. Some said it hovered above them for several minutes. It was not just lights. It was a structure, a solid craft. Some said it was the size of several city blocks. Others said it was larger than anything man-made. The entire city was watching. Local news stations got flooded with calls. Even Arizona's governor at the time, Fife Symington, later admitted, "I saw it too. It was not of this world." So, what was it? 3 theories: UFO military test, or something else. Theory 1. Flares dropped by military aircraft. The U.S. Air Force claimed the lights were military flares dropped during a training exercise. They said it was part of Operation Snowbird. But witnesses disagreed. They said the lights moved in formation, not drifted like flares. They said it was silent, not accompanied by aircraft noise. And most importantly, they said the lights were attached to a single, massive structure. Not random, not floating, not flares. Theory 2. Top secret military aircraft. Another theory suggests it was a black project, an ultra-classified military airship, maybe a next-generation stealth blimp, or something using anti-gravity propulsion. But again, why fly it over a populated city? Why allow thousands to see it? And if it was military, why deny it so aggressively? Wouldn't it have been easier to say, that's classified, instead of it was flares? Theory 3. Extraterrestrial craft. Then comes the most controversial theory, that it wasn't from Earth at all. A spacecraft, moving slowly, purposefully, silently, showing itself, observing, but not attacking. Could this have been intentional contact, or a test of public reaction? 4. Emotional reflection. Can 10,000 people all be wrong? Let's be honest, people lie, people exaggerate, but 10,000 people, doctors, lawyers, teachers, scientists, children, all saying the same thing: it was massive, it was silent, it wasn't human-made. Can that many people be mistaken? If it was flares, why didn't they flicker? Why didn't they drift? If it was military, why the silence? Why the jokes? Governor Symington even held a press conference the next day, bringing out a man in an alien costume. He laughed it off, but 10 years later, he changed his tune. He admitted, "I saw it, and it was not explainable." How does that make you feel? That a governor mocked something he knew was real? That the government covered up a mass sighting? Wouldn't that make you question everything? Your trust, your safety, your place in the universe? Because if that object was not from here, then who is watching us? 5. Open-ended conclusion. Who controls the sky and who's lying about it? The Phoenix Lights case remains unsolved. No official apology, no follow-up, no investigation with real results. Just silence and denial. But witnesses still speak out, even now, decades later. What did they see? What flew over Arizona that night? A weapon? A message? Or a warning? And if the government is lying about this, what else are they hiding? Who really controls our skies? And why don't we get to know? Extended storytelling, full 1,500 words. March 13, 1997. A normal Thursday, until it wasn't. In Henderson, Nevada, a man stepped outside for a cigarette. He looked up. 5 lights, flying in a perfect V shape, were moving silently across the sky. He called the local police. Then came the calls from Arizona, Prescott, Dewey, Glendale. Same lights, same shape, same silence. One witness described it as a black triangle the size of multiple football fields. Others said it looked like a giant carpenter's square floating through the sky. At 8:30 p.m., it reached Phoenix. Drivers pulled over on Interstate 10. They got out of their cars and stared. Whole families stood in their front yards, pointing and whispering. Dogs barked. Birds went silent. The lights moved overhead slowly at an estimated speed of 30 miles per hour. Way too slow for any known aircraft. But it wasn't just lights. People reported seeing the stars disappear behind the object. It was solid, black, massive. It made no sound. One witness said, "It felt like the sky itself was moving." Another said, "It was so big I thought it would land." The craft glided over the city for several minutes before vanishing to the south. But it wasn't over. At 10 p.m., a second wave of lights appeared, this time over a nearby mountain range. This is the part the Air Force addressed. They said these were flares from military jets, dropped over the Barry Goldwater testing range. Case closed, but not for the people of Phoenix. They had seen the earlier craft, the one that moved in silence. that had no blinking lights, that flew directly over neighborhoods. They knew it wasn't flares. They knew what they saw, and they were angry. Local news stations ran the story that night. Call after call flooded in. By morning, the story had spread across the country. Was it an alien ship, a military experiment, or both? Then came the press conference. Governor Fife Symington took the stage. He joked about the aliens invading and brought out a staffer in a costume. Laughter, applause, but underneath, people felt betrayed. He made a joke of what they knew was real. For years, the event sat in limbo, mocked by skeptics, ignored by officials. Then, in 2007, everything changed. Symington went public. He said, "I'm a pilot. I know what planes look like. What I saw was not from this earth." He described the craft as enormous, silent, otherworldly. His admission reopened the wound. Why did he lie? Why did he joke about something so serious? And why did the military insist on flares? Captain Tony De Souza, an Air National Guard pilot, said later, "We did drop flares, but that was much later. That's not what people saw at 8:30. So, what did they see? The FAA had no radar data. No planes filed flight paths in that area. No sonic booms. No jets. Just silence. Some think it was a psychological experiment, a way to study public reaction to a mass unknown. Others think it was disclosure gone wrong. That someone or something wanted to be seen, wanted us to know, but not panic. Theories abound. Some say the object was a triangular anti-gravity craft developed from reverse-engineered alien tech, possibly at Area 51. Others say it was a genuine extraterrestrial ship scouting Earth. The truth? We don't know. The Phoenix Lights remain one of the largest mass UFO sightings in human history, and one of the most denied. No government report, no investigation results, no explanation, just stories and silence. But those stories won't die. Not when thousands saw the same thing. Not when even a governor breaks ranks. So, we ask again, what flew over Phoenix? What power can move something so massive, so silently, and why show it to us? Was it a mistake, or a message? And if it was a message, was it for the people, or for the ones who already knew? UAP files. What are the CIA and Pentagon really saying? The truth was released, but it came with black bars. 1. Introduction. A new name, same mystery. UFOs are now called UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. A new label. But the question is the same. What is flying in our skies? And why don't we understand it? The government says these objects are real. Not balloons, not drones, not weather events. But they won't say what they are. They've shown us the files. Redacted, censored, sanitized. So why release them at all? What are they preparing us for? 2. The real event. The 2021 UAP report confirmation without clarity. In June 2021, the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a bombshell. Preliminary assessment. Unidentified aerial phenomena. It was short, just 9 pages, but it changed everything. It confirmed 144 UAP encounters between 2004 and 2021. Only one could be explained, a deflating balloon. The other 143, still unexplained. These weren't just civilian sightings. They were reported by U.S. Navy pilots, radar operators, and military personnel. Many incidents included objects accelerating instantly, no visible propulsion systems, no wings or exhaust, sudden direction changes, underwater movement without splash. One pilot said, "It moved like nothing I've ever seen before." Another described a TIC-TUC-shaped object that outmaneuvered a $60 million fighter jet. The report did not use the word aliens, but it didn't deny the possibility either. Instead, it quietly said, some UAP may demonstrate advanced technology, and then silence. 3. The theories. Why admit so little yet say so much? So why release a report at all? Some believe it was pressure. Leaked videos like the gimbal and go-fast footage were already spreading. The Pentagon had to say something. But what they said was strange. They confirmed UAPs were real, but gave no explanation. They admitted these objects entered military airspace, but offered no action plan. So what does this mean? Theory 1. Controlled disclosure. Maybe the government is slowly preparing the public. Admit a little, normalize it, then reveal more in stages, step by step, so people don't panic, so the economy isn't shaken, so religions don't collapse. Theory 2. They don't know either. A scarier thought. What if the Pentagon genuinely doesn't know? What if even the most powerful intelligence agencies on Earth are in the dark? What if we're being watched and no one can stop it? That would explain the fear, the secrecy, the silence, not to protect us, but to hide their helplessness. Theory 3. It's not aliens, it's somewhere else. Some theories point not to aliens, but to human adversaries, advanced tech from rival nations. But the U.S. military has ruled out most known foreign capabilities. Could it be a breakaway civilization? A hidden advanced group on Earth with technology beyond ours? Or time travelers? Or something stranger? 4. Emotional reflection. When the government doesn't deny it, is it still fiction? Let's be clear. For decades, people reporting UFOs were mocked, labeled crazy, dismissed, ignored. Now the government itself says, yes, they're real. Let that sink in. You're not imagining things. The objects are real. They defy physics. They outpace fighter jets. They don't behave like anything we've ever built. And the Pentagon just shrugs. No press conference. No plan. Just, we'll look into it. If that doesn't terrify you, it should. Because when those in power admit something impossible is happening, but offer no solution, no defense, no comfort, what do we have left to believe in? Are we alone? Or have we never been? 5. Open-ended conclusion. Where does our knowledge end and theirs begin? The UEP report ended with a simple request. We need more funding to study this. That's it. No explanation, no theories, no guidance. Just a shrug and a budget request. So ask yourself, why now? Why 2021? Why admit this after decades of denial? Is something coming? Have they lost control? Or is this part of something far bigger? A timeline we're not allowed to see. These aren't just crafts in the sky. They're symbols of how little we know, of how much is hidden, and of the frightening truth. Maybe we're not at the top of the food chain. Expanded storytelling, full 1,500 words. It started with whispers, then grainy videos, then leaked footage, pilots screaming over comms. It's rotating. Radar operators stunned. It just disappeared. Infrared cameras capturing fast-moving shapes defying inertia. At first, the Pentagon said nothing, but pressure grew. Former military insiders spoke out. Luis Elizondo, former head of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program (AATIP), went public. He said the government had been studying UAPs for years, and what they found was beyond next-generation tech. Then came the New York Times article in 2017. The secret was out. By 2021, the public demanded answers. Congress ordered the Director of National Intelligence to produce a report. What we got was 9 pages. The preliminary assessment. It didn't say aliens. But it didn't say not aliens either. It simply admitted UAPs are real. They are seen by military pilots. They perform maneuvers we cannot replicate. They pose a flight safety and national security risk. It was the softest way to say, we don't control our skies. The report was filled with vague terms, unusual flight characteristics, limited data, require further analysis. Most damning, 143 out of 144 incidents had no explanation. And the one that was explained, just a balloon. Think about that. The most powerful military in the world can't explain what's flying over their bases. They see them, they track them, they even chase them, but they can't catch them or stop them. One U.S. Navy pilot described a UAP as dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. No known aircraft can do that. No human body could survive it, and yet it happened. So, what are they? Craft from another world, or drones from a breakaway civilization hiding among us? Could they be ours from the future, or something far older, ancient machines that have been watching us since before history? The truth is, we don't know, but the government does know this. They're real, and for now, that's all they're willing to admit. Why? Why reveal this now after 70 years of denial? Why change UFO to UAP? Is it just branding or preparation? Are they softening the public, getting us used to the idea? What's coming next? What if the next report includes a word they've avoided so far? Extraterrestrial. Or worse, invasive. Because here's the terrifying part. They're here. They're watching. And we still don't know what they want, where they're from, or how long they've been here. And maybe we're not supposed to, because the most chilling idea isn't that they're hiding something from us. It's that they don't have the answers either. And that realization that our leaders may be powerless is what truly shakes the foundation. The UAP report was a breadcrumb, a glimpse behind the curtain. And what we saw was dark. What we don't know might be far more dangerous than what we do. And every redacted line in that report, every blacked-out sentence, it's not hiding fantasy. It's hiding fear. Because whoever or whatever is flying those craft isn't asking permission. Military pilot speaks out. I saw something not from this earth. You're flying at 20,000 feet. Suddenly it appears. 1. Introduction. Veteran pilots. Impossible objects. They've flown in combat. They've logged thousands of hours. They know the sky better than anyone. But even they were stunned. Veteran military pilots. Calm under pressure. But after these encounters, their voices shook. Because what they saw should not exist. And yet, it was right there in front of them. Flying, moving, outperforming anything they'd ever seen. They tried to chase it. They failed, because whatever it wasn't from this earth. 2. The Real Events ENDR, David Fravor, and the TIC-TC UFO. The year was 2004. Location, off the coast of Southern California. The USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group was conducting training exercises. Everything was normal until it wasn't. Radar operators aboard the USS Princeton began tracking unknown objects. They appeared at 80,000 feet, then dropped to sea level in under a second. No sonic boom, no crash, no explanation. The Navy launched F-18 Super Hornets to intercept. One of those pilots was Commander David Fravor, a respected veteran. He flew alongside LT, CNDR, Jim Slate. What they encountered has since become one of the most famous UFO sightings in modern history. Fravor described a white, oblong-shaped object, smooth, featureless, like a giant tac. It hovered above the ocean, moving erratically. Then, suddenly it began to move. With no visible propulsion, it shot upward and vanished. Fravor tried to intercept. He failed. He said it accelerated like nothing he had ever seen. It had no wings, no rotors, no exhaust. It just moved. They returned to the carrier stunned. Later, another fighter equipped with an infrared camera captured footage of the same object. That video, known today as the FLIR-1 or TIC-TC UFO, was eventually leaked. The U.S. government later confirmed, yes, it's real. 3. The theories: advanced tech or something beyond Earth. What could move like that? What could defy gravity, inertia, and physics? Fravor is a decorated pilot, not prone to fantasy. His testimony has never wavered. He says, this was not human technology. So, what are the possibilities? Theory 1. Advanced foreign technology. Some speculate it could be a hypersonic drone developed secretly by China or Russia. But there's a problem. The maneuvers the object made, dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level, instantly defy any known propulsion system. No heat signature, no wings, no sonic boom. Not even today, 2 decades later, does any known nation possess such capability. Theory 2. Experimental U.S. Black Project. Could it be an American secret? An ultra-black military aircraft? Perhaps reverse-engineered from something else. But why test it in front of active-duty Navy pilots? Why let them chase it? And why still, in 2025, has it not been revealed? Even Fravor doesn't believe it's ours. Theory 3. Extraterrestrial craft. This is the theory most won't say out loud, but many believe in silence. A ship from somewhere else, sent to observe, to test, to remind us we are not alone. 4. Emotional reflection. If you were a pilot, would you speak out? Imagine this. You're flying an F-18. You've been trained to identify every threat. You know every silhouette, every heat signature, every behavior of known craft. Then something shows up on your radar. Something you can't explain. It moves faster than anything you've seen. It doesn't make sense. Your heart pounds. Your instincts scream. You return to the ship. You report it. But they don't want to talk. They write it off. They say nothing. And then they stay silent. Would you still speak up? Would you risk your career, your reputation? Fravor did. So did others. Because truth matters more than orders. And because what they saw was not fiction. It was there. It was real. And it left them changed forever. 5. Open-ended conclusion. Why do so many in the military stay silent? Fravor wasn't the only one. Thousands of pilots, sailors, and radar operators have seen the same thing. Objects that fly without wings. Objects that vanish on radar. Objects that toy with the most advanced military jets in the world. But most remain quiet. Why? Fear. Of ridicule. Of demotion. Of losing everything. In some cases, they were told directly, you didn't see anything. Some had their recordings confiscated. Others were threatened. But slowly, that's changing. More are coming forward. Because the world is finally listening. And because this question won't go away. If these objects aren't from here, where are they from? And why are they here? Full narrative extended 1,500 words. David Fravor wasn't looking for a UFO. He was flying a routine training mission. But what he found changed his life. Off the coast of San Diego, radar operators aboard the USS Princeton noticed strange contacts. These weren't blips, they were real. Objects would appear at 80,000 feet, then drop to sea level in an instant. No sound, no crash, just speed and precision unlike anything they'd seen. So they scrambled jets. Fravor was in the lead. He was directed to intercept unknown contact. As he approached, he saw the ocean churning, like something was just beneath the surface. Then it rose, a white object, oblong, smooth, no markings, no wings, just floating. Fravor tried to engage. He circled. It mirrored his movements, like it knew he was there. Then, without warning, the object accelerated vertically. Gone in seconds, Fravor radioed back. "I have no idea what I just saw, but it's not from this world." Later, a second jet captured video of the same object. The footage known as Floor 1 shows a glowing white object. It rotates, it darts, it vanishes. Years passed. The footage leaked. The world saw it. Skeptics tried to debunk it, but experts, even skeptics, admitted the object behaved unlike anything known. Fravor began speaking publicly. He testified before Congress. He appeared on major networks. He never changed his story. "We are being observed. These things are out there." He wasn't alone. Commander Chad Underwood, Ryan Graves, Alex Dietrich, all military pilots, all with similar stories, all describing craft that moved with intelligence and power. But most didn't speak because the culture in the military was clear. Don't talk about UFOs. Don't be that guy. But when the Pentagon released the 2021 UAP report, everything shifted. It confirmed Fravor's story. It validated him. But it didn't explain anything. And that silence, that careful non-answer, is more terrifying than denial. Because if the U.S. military admits it can't identify, track, or stop these objects, what does that mean? Who controls the sky? And why are so many afraid to speak? Even now, pilots continue to report sightings over war zones, over oceans, near nuclear sites. Patterns emerge, but answers do not. So we turn to the brave few, like David Fravor, pilots who risk ridicule to tell the truth, because what they saw was not a dream. It wasn't fiction. It was a craft, intelligent, advanced, watching us, studying us, testing us. We don't know, but the people who saw it, those trained to know what's real, are telling us something is out there, and it's not us. Project Blue Book, the UFO investigation that disappeared. They investigated over 12,000 sightings, then shut it all down. 1. Introduction. A secret team. Thousands of reports. One hidden truth. Did you know the U.S. government once ran a full-time UFO investigation program? It wasn't a theory. It wasn't a rumor. It was real. It was called Project Blue Book. And for nearly 2 decades, it was the official government office for tracking the unknown. From 1952 to 1969, the Air Force received and reviewed 12,618 UFO sightings. That's right, over 12,000 cases. Eyewitness reports, radar returns, photos, videos, military testimonies. And then suddenly it ended. They shut it down. They said, "Nothing to see here." But was that true? Or did they find something too dangerous to reveal? 2. The real event, a government UFO program hidden in plain sight. After the 1947 Roswell incident and the explosion of public interest in UFOs, the U.S. military knew they had to respond. At first, it was a minor operation. Project Sign in 1948, then Project Grudge. Then finally, in 1952, came the most official effort, Project Blue Book. Based at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, Blue Book was tasked with collecting UFO reports, evaluating evidence, determining if these phenomena were a threat to national security, What they found was complicated. Out of the 12,618 cases, 701 remained unexplained. Many included sightings by trained military personnel. Some involved radar and visual confirmation. Others were captured on camera. These weren't wild fantasies. They were serious, coordinated investigations. But in 1969, the Air Force suddenly announced, "We found nothing. The project is closed." Just like that, thousands of files were locked away. Public interest faded, and the truth was buried. 3. The theories. Why close a massive investigation? Why shut down an operation that had been collecting global data for 17 years? They said it was because UFOs posed no threat, that there was no evidence of extraterrestrial technology. But many didn't buy that. And here's why. Theory 1, they did find something and couldn't explain it. What if the real reason they stopped was because the evidence got too real, too unexplainable, too terrifying? Maybe they encountered craft they couldn't track, objects that outperformed jets, encounters that hinted at intelligence beyond human. So instead of causing mass panic, they shut it down. Silently, quietly, behind redacted reports. Theory 2. Public pressure was becoming a threat. During the 1950s and 60s, UFO sightings were increasing. News outlets covered them. Civilians reported them in huge numbers. Military airspace was constantly being violated by unknowns. It was becoming hard to contain. The government feared hysteria, and worse, that foreign adversaries might exploit the chaos. Shutting down Blue Book was a way to turn down the temperature, to pretend the mystery was over, even when it wasn't. Theory 3. The investigation never really stopped. Here's the most compelling idea. Blue Book ended in name but not in function. Instead of keeping it public, the program was simply moved deeper underground, into special access programs, into black budgets, classified, and touchable. We now know programs like AWSAPATIP and UAPTF existed decades later, all doing the same thing, investigating unidentified aerial phenomena. So did Blue Book ever truly stop? Or just go dark? 4. Emotional reflection. What would make a government hide this much? Imagine the scale. Thousands of reports, years of data, multiple military encounters, visuals, radar, witnesses, and then silence. They told the public nothing to worry about. But behind the scenes, things kept happening. Incidents increased. The Phoenix Lights, the TIC-TC UFO, the UAP disclosures, all post-Blue Book. So why pretend it ended? Why dismiss it as a non-threat? Was it fear, shame, or the chilling possibility that even the most powerful military in the world has no control over what's entering its airspace? Would you admit that? Or bury it? 5. Open-ended conclusion. What do they know that we're not allowed to? Project Blue Book was real. Its cases were real. Its investigators were real. But its answers, still missing. Why? Because maybe the answers are too big, too far beyond our understanding. Or maybe they point to something that changes everything. Our history, our origins, our future. Today, many of the files are declassified, but many are still redacted, pages missing, names blacked out, timelines erased, because someone somewhere decided you don't need to know. So we ask, what did they find? And why won't they tell us? Extended narrative, full 1,500 words. Project Blue Book officially began in 1952, but its roots go deeper. In 1947, the U.S. Army recovered what it called a flying disc in Roswell, New Mexico, before retracting the statement within 24 hours. That event launched a global obsession with UFOs and a government scramble for control. Enter Project Sign in 1948. It was the first official attempt to evaluate the phenomenon. Their conclusion: some UFOs were interplanetary. Yes, they actually said that, but the report was buried. Sign was replaced by Project Grudge, then Blue Book. At its peak, Blue Book had dozens of investigators, including former fighter pilots and scientists. They analyzed film footage, debriefed witnesses, cross-referenced radar data. For every sighting, they logged location, time, weather, witnesses, likelihood of hoax. Most sightings were explained, but 701 were not. Let that sink in. 700 unexplained cases, including UFOs tracked by NORAD, craft hovering over nuclear facilities, objects pursued by fighter jets and lost. These weren't all lights in the sky. They were encounters, close ones. In 1966, public attention exploded after sightings in Michigan. Congress got involved. They brought in physicist Dr. J. Allen Hynek, Blue Book scientific advisor. At first, Hynek was a skeptic, but over the years, even he changed. He began to say, some of these cases cannot be explained. In 1969, the Condon Report, a study by the University of Colorado, concluded UFOs were not scientifically useful to study. The Air Force used it as an excuse to shut down Blue Book, but many researchers say the Condon Report cherry-picked its data, ignored the strongest cases, and was designed to justify closure. Hynek himself later said Blue Book was a public relations cover-up, not a real scientific effort. After the shutdown, Hynek founded the Center for UFO Studies, a private research group, because he believed the phenomenon was real, and that the government was hiding something. So, what was Blue Book really about? Truth or control? Even now, its legacy haunts the discussion, because many of today's most shocking UFO stories, including pilot sightings and military encounters, echo what Blue Book recorded decades ago. Same shapes, same speeds, same silence, same cover-ups. So, we ask, if the government investigated 12,000 sightings and couldn't explain hundreds, why did they close the books? Or did they? Because after Blue Book came silence. But not for long. The Pentagon's own leaks, the 2021 UAP report, the TIC-TC incident, everything they denied is returning, with more evidence, more witnesses, and more fear. So maybe Blue Book never ended. Maybe it just moved somewhere darker. And maybe, just maybe, they found something so big they couldn't tell the world. Did aliens build the pyramids? Stones weighing 80 tons, cut with surgical precision, aligned to the stars. How? 1. Introduction. Too perfect, too advanced, too early. The Great Pyramid of Giza wasn't built last century, or even last millennium. It was built over 4,500 years ago, without modern tools, without cranes, without machines. And yet, it's aligned almost perfectly with true north. Its base is nearly a perfect square. The sides point to the cardinal directions with stunning accuracy. Even today, engineers struggle to explain how it was done. And the pyramid isn't alone. Across the globe, from Mexico to Mesopotamia, we find ancient structures, aligned with stars, cut with laser-like precision, built with technology that shouldn't have existed. Coincidence? Or something more? 2. The real mystery. Global architecture with the same sky math. Let's look at the facts. The Great Pyramid of Giza, made of over 2.3 million limestone blocks. Some stones weigh over 70 tons. Gaps between blocks are so tight, not even a razor blade fits between them. The pyramid is aligned within 0.05 degrees of true north. Its dimensions encode the mathematical constant pi. It mirrors Orion's belt in the night sky, and yet built over 4,000 years ago, using copper tools and wooden sledges. That's what mainstream history says. But many aren't convinced, because Egypt isn't the only place. Teotihuacan, Mexico, a massive city built over 2,000 years ago. Pyramids aligned with celestial cycles. The layout mirrors the solar system. Unknown builders, even the Aztecs, arrived and found it already abandoned. Pumapunku, Bolivia. Stone blocks scattered across a high plateau, carved with machine-like precision. Grooves, holes, and joins too perfect for stone tools. One block weighs over 130 tons. Global star alignments. Ancient monuments on different continents mirror star constellations. Many share the same sacred numbers like 72, 360, and 108 tied to astronomy. How did they all know? They were isolated. No planes, no satellites, no internet. So, how did ancient civilizations thousands of miles apart build the same structures, with the same patterns, pointing to the same stars? This is the question that launched a theory. 3. The theory ancient aliens help from above. It sounds crazy, but is it? What if our ancestors didn't build these alone? What if they had help? The ancient aliens theory suggests that thousands of years ago, extraterrestrial beings visited Earth. They didn't just observe. They interacted. They shared knowledge. They guided construction. They became gods in ancient myths. The Anunnaki in Mesopotamia. The sky people of Native American lore. The Viracochas in the Andes. The star gods in Polynesia. They came from the sky. They had power, knowledge, tools. And when they left monuments behind. The pyramids, the temples, the megaliths. Not just as structures, but as messages, clues, blueprints, warnings. If this theory is true, it changes everything. Our history books, wrong. Our origins, incomplete, because we didn't rise alone. We were lifted. 4. Emotional reflection. Could our ancestors really do the impossible, or were they never alone? We love to believe in human greatness, that we as a species achieved wonders through genius and persistence. But what if the truth is harder to accept? That our ancestors couldn't have done it alone. That what we call gods were not divine but extraterrestrial. That the pyramids were not tombs, but technological relics. We are told to dismiss this, to call it fantasy, pseudoscience, myth. But why does it persist? Why do millions believe? Because when you stand at the base of the Great Pyramid, when you see the symmetry, feel the stone, sense the ancient power, you know something's not right. Something doesn't add up. This wasn't just stonework. It was something else. A puzzle left behind by beings not from here. 5. Open-ended conclusion. What knowledge was buried beneath the sand and why? The pyramids aren't just structures. They're time capsules. They point to the stars. They echo mathematics. They defy primitive tools. And maybe they whisper the truth. We are not the first advanced beings on Earth. We are not the first to touch the stars. We were guided once, long ago, and then they left. Or did they? Maybe they're still watching, waiting. Maybe the pyramids were never meant for the dead. Maybe they were built for the future, to awaken us, to remind us that the sky holds our past and maybe our creators. Expanded storytelling, full 1,500 words. Let's go back, not 100 years, not 1,000, but 4,500 years to ancient Egypt. There are no cranes, no concrete mixers, no steel, and yet the Egyptians built the Great Pyramid. How? We're told they used copper chisels, wooden rollers, slaves pulling ropes. But engineers today struggle to replicate the feat with modern technology. So, how did they move 70-ton stones? How did they lift them 400 feet into the air? How did they align the entire structure with such astronomical precision? Some say practice, ingenuity, time. Others say that's impossible. So, we look further to Mexico, to Teotihuacan, to a city that maps the solar system, to a pyramid that mirrors the sun, to structures aligned with the Pleiades, a star cluster revered across the world. Then to Peru, to Sacsayhuaman, massive stones stacked like Lego, no mortar, no cracks, cut to fit so tightly you can't slide a needle between them. Still not strange enough. Go to Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, 12,000 years old. Older than Stonehenge, older than writing, older than farming. Carvings of animals, of stars, of symbols. Who built it? Nobody knows. History says humans were still hunters and gatherers, but someone somehow carved 20-ton pillars and arranged them with cosmic precision. How and why? These questions haunted author Erich von Däniken. In 1968, he published Chariots of the Gods. He suggested ancient civilizations had help from the stars. He pointed to similarities across ancient cultures. Gods arriving in flying chariots, beings with glowing skin, knowledge passed down from sky people. Mainstream science called it nonsense, but millions found it compelling because the patterns are too strong, too consistent, too global. Different lands, different languages, same message. We came from the stars. Even today, tribal cultures speak of star ancestors. Even ancient texts like the Book of Enoch or the Popolva describe beings descending from the sky. Are they myths or memories? Ancient astronaut theorists argue that humanity has forgotten its first contact, that we buried it beneath layers of religion and legend, that the pyramids, the ziggurats, the megaliths are all remnants of that era. We see them as holy, but maybe they were hardware, receivers, transmissions, technological landmarks disguised as spiritual sites. Why would aliens do this? Some say they were explorers. Others say farmers genetically modifying early humans, turning Homo erectus into Homo sapiens. Some even suggest Earth was, and still is, a cosmic laboratory. Are we the experiment, or the children? The truth is we don't know. But these monuments speak, and they all say the same thing. You're not alone. You never were. Area 51 alien conspiracy or real research base. A fence, a desert, a shadow, and maybe a secret not meant for humans. 1. Introduction. A place that doesn't officially exist. You can't visit it. You can't fly over it. And for decades, you couldn't even say its name. Area 51. Buried deep in the Nevada desert. Surrounded by sensors, fences, motion detectors, and signs that say, use of deadly force authorized. No tourists, no cameras, no answers, just questions, endless questions, because this place is more than a military base. It's become the beating heart of every UFO conspiracy theory. Why? Because the government didn't even admit it existed until 2013. And even now they'll tell you nothing. So, what's really going on inside Area 51? And who or what is being kept hidden? 2. The real event, Bob Lazar, and the S4 revelation. In 1989, a man went on television. His name, Bob Lazar. His claim, he worked inside a hidden base called S4 near Area 51. And what he saw would change everything. I saw 9 different craft, none of them from Earth. Lazar claimed he was hired to reverse engineer alien technology. He described spacecraft powered by an element unknown at the time, element 115, an element that years later would be added to the periodic table. He explained gravity manipulation. He detailed how the ships bent spacetime to move not with propulsion, but with distortion. His story shocked the world. He passed polygraphs. His descriptions matched facilities that were unknown to the public at the time. And most chilling, he said that every security protocol in the base was designed not just for national secrecy, but to protect something not from Earth. Was he lying? Or revealing what no one dared to say? 3. The theory. Is the U.S. government really working with alien technology? Area 51 is real. That's no longer a theory. The government confirmed its existence in 2013 through declassified CIA documents. It's a testing site for advanced aircraft, the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 Nighthawk. But are those the only things flying there? Or are they just a cover? Here's what the theories say. Theory 1. Recovered UFOs are stored and tested inside Area 51. Roswell, 1947. A weather balloon crashed, that's the official story. But many believe the wreckage of a UFO, and even alien bodies, were transported to Area 51. Bob Lazar's claim backs this. He described a craft recovered from an archaeological dig, not a crash, which means they've been here much longer than we thought. Some say Area 51 doesn't just store wreckage. They're learning from it, testing it, rebuilding it, maybe even flying it. Theory 2. Joint human-alien collaboration. It sounds insane, but it's one of the longest-running conspiracies. That deep within Area 51, there are labs, and inside them, not just human scientists, but non-human entities, working together, trading knowledge, or worse, controlling the process. Some whistleblowers have claimed to see gray aliens in the facility. Others say it's not just about flight, it's about genetics, and that hybrid programs exist beneath the desert floor. Science fiction, or dark science. Theory 3. The truth is too big to release. Why keep it secret? Why hide it? Because if it's true, if they really recovered alien tech, if they're reverse engineering otherworldly machines, if they've made contact, it changes everything. Religion, government, science, history. The world would never be the same. Maybe the secret isn't about hiding aliens. Maybe it's about containing collapse. 4. Emotional reflection. If you held the ultimate secret, would you share it with the world? Imagine this. You work deep inside a mountain base. You're brought in under clearance beyond top secret. You're told you'll see things that don't officially exist. And then you do. You touch the craft. You see it hover, move, disappear. You realize this isn't human. It's not Russian, not Chinese, not ours. And then they tell you, say nothing, because if you speak, your life will change. You'll be discredited, erased, threatened. Would you talk? Would you risk everything? Bob Lazar did. He came forward, and for decades, the world tried to destroy his story. Said he never worked there, erased his education history, made him look like a fraud. But over time, details he gave have proven true, and he never changed his story. If you held the ultimate truth, would you speak? or stay silent behind the steel doors of Area 51. 5. Open-ended conclusion. What lies behind that gate in the desert? Area 51 is still active, still guarded, still expanding. Satellite images show no hangars, new runways, new energy signatures, but no answers, just silence. Why? What needs that much protection? What demands that much secrecy? What exists in that base that can't be revealed? Some say it's experimental aircraft. Others say it's proof we are not alone, that we've never been alone, that contact happened long ago, and now the race is no longer to discover, but to control, to own the skies, to rewrite physics, to prepare for something bigger. Because maybe Area 51 isn't just a base. Maybe it's a vault that holds the next stage of humanity. And maybe the real question is no longer are aliens real, but rather, what are we doing with their technology? Expanded narrative, full 1,500 words. Long before Area 51 became internet legend, it was a dry lake bed. Groom Lake, flat, remote, perfect for testing. In the 1950s, it became the birthplace of black projects. The U-2 spy plane, the A-12, the SR-71. Craft so advanced, civilians mistook them for UFOs. But was that an accident or intentional distraction? Bob Lazar says it wasn't the aircraft that mattered. It was the other vehicles, the ones that couldn't have been built by any human nation. He described seeing craft made from a single molded material. No rivets, no seams, no control surfaces. Inside, no wires, no screens, just biomechanical interfaces. Like the ship responded to thought. He said the propulsion system used element 115. At the time, it didn't exist on the periodic table. But in 2003, scientists synthesized Moscovium element 115 just as Lazar described. He also mentioned hand scanners to access rooms technology laughed at in the 80s, until photos later confirmed that exact scanner was used in classified facilities. Still think it's all a hoax? What about the fact that Lazar's claims inspired an explosion of new Area 51 research? Hundreds of people began digging. Some discovered strange activity on satellite images. Others, even former employees, admitted, yes, there's more going on there than we're allowed to say. In 2019, a Facebook joke turned into a movement. Over 2 million people RSVP'd to storm Area 51. They said, they can't stop us all. It became a meme, but it also proved something deeper. People want the truth. They're done waiting, done accepting weather balloon explanations, done being told not to look at the sky. Because, what if the biggest discoveries in human history are locked behind barbed wire? What if inside Area 51 there are crafts not built on Earth? There are propulsion systems we still can't replicate. There are beings, biological or artificial, under study. What if the government isn't just hiding secrets? What if they're deciding who gets access to the future? That's what makes Area 51 more than a myth. It's a mirror. It shows us our curiosity, our fear, our desire to know, and the terrifying thought that we've already made contact. We just weren't invited to the meeting. Cropped circles are these mysterious patterns, just random, perfect circles, geometries beyond comprehension. No lights, no sounds, no witnesses. Just there. By morning, 1. Introduction, a field, a pattern, a mystery, a quiet farm. Middle of the night, no footprints, no engines, no noise. But when the sun rises, a breathtaking pattern appears. Swirling circles, intricate symmetry, precise angles, giant in size. It wasn't there the night before. It's there now. And no one saw it being made. Just like that. Another crop circle. Coincidence? Hoax? Or a message? 2. The phenomenon, too fast, too complex, too perfect. Crop circles aren't new. They've appeared for decades. Mostly in England's countryside in counties like Wiltshire, near Stonehenge. But also in the US, Australia, Canada, even Japan and Brazil. Not just one or two. Thousands. Let's break it down. The earliest printed account, 1678, a woodcut pamphlet titled The Mowing Devil. The modern boom, starting late 1970s, exploding in the 1990s. Some are simple rings. Others are massive, complex fractals spanning hundreds of meters. Many appear overnight. Most are geometrically perfect. Some even show magnetic anomalies, burned plant nodes, and radiation spikes. And all this, created by pranksters with planks and string. Let's look at one case. The Chilbolton Crop Circle 201. On August 19, 2001, two formations appeared near the Chilbolton Radio Telescope in Hampshire, UK. One resembled a face, the other, a pattern almost like binary code. Within days, analysts matched it to the Arecibo message signal sent from Earth into space in 1974, designed to show our DNA, solar system, and technology. But this crop formation had modifications. DNA was altered. The being's height was shorter. Their solar system layout was different. Their technology included something unknown. Coincidence? Or a reply? Who would know how to encode that? Who would want to? And why place it next to a radio telescope? Just think about that for a second. 3. Theories. Hoax, secret tech, or alien signature. So, what do people believe? Let's break down the main theories. Theory 1. Elaborate human hoax. Skeptics say crop circles are a joke, made by pranksters with wooden boards, string, and lots of patience. In 1991, two British men, Doug Bauer and Dave Corley, claimed they started the phenomenon as a hoax. They demonstrated how they could flatten crops using planks. And yes, some crop circles are hoaxes, but not all, because here's where it gets strange. Some crop circles appear in less than 20 minutes, too fast for such complexity. The stems are bent, not broken, as if microwaved from the inside. Soil samples reveal electromagnetic disruptions. GPS and radio signals malfunction in fresh circles. Surveillance cameras placed near suspected sites often capture nothing. So either some people are hoaxers with access to classified tech, or there's something else going on. Theory 2. Military experiments. Another theory. These aren't aliens. They're us, or rather a secret part of us. Military black projects, testing directed energy weapons, microwave beams, or satellite-based manipulation tools. The result? Plants are bent without breaking. Precision is digitally pre-programmed. Fields become canvases for silent experiments. The crop circle, then, is a side effect or even a test signature. But if true, why in public areas? Why leave complex messages? And why do they often appear near ancient spiritual sites? Coincidence or controlled delivery? Theory 3. Extraterrestrial communication. Now the big one. The theory many believe, that crop circles are not man-made, that they are messages sent from an intelligent, non-human source. Signs, warnings, mathematical invitations, encoded language, DNA patterns, astronomical alignments, coordinates, energy symbols. We don't fully understand them because maybe they aren't meant for everyone. Maybe they're part of a code we haven't broken yet, and maybe they're being left in wheat fields, because it's the most universal chalkboard we all can see, a language made of patterns, geometry, light, frequency, for emotional reflection. Are we being watched or guided? Imagine waking up, walking into a field behind your house, and seeing it, a 300-foot pattern burned into the crops. Not random, not vandalism, but our math, symmetry. What do you feel? Why? Fear, curiosity. What if this wasn't the first? What if you start looking around the world and realize these formations are everywhere, appearing faster, growing more complex, and always just out of reach? No cameras catch them being made, no tools left behind, no tire marks, no footprints, no drones, just signs in the grass, as if something is trying to say, "We're here, we've always been here, and we're trying to reach you." Would you ignore it or listen? 5. Open-ended conclusion. If these are signals, who are they meant for? Crop circles are not going away. They continue. Every year, more intricate, more symbolic. Some are likely fake, but some defy logic, timing, precision, radiation, geometry. There's no single answer, no definitive proof. But what if they're real? What if it's a message not to us, but to others? A beacon, a landing marker, a call sign, or a countdown? Are we looking at alien graffiti or interstellar instructions? And if it's a message, who's reading it? And what happens when they respond? Full expansion for 1,500 words. From the skies of Nevada to the farms of England, the mystery deepens. One is hidden behind fences. The other is drawn in plain sight. But maybe both Area 51 and crop circles are parts of the same puzzle. Maybe while we've been looking up, they've been communicating down. Not with words, not with voices, but with symbols. Because symbols are universal. They cross language. They cross time. And maybe they cross worlds. Some say we're being tested, that these patterns are meant to stimulate consciousness, to see who notices, who deciphers, who cares. Others believe they are warnings, subtle alerts that our planet is being watched. And some believe they're left behind by ships, a kind of space footprint from electromagnetic drives interacting with natural terrain. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. Crop circles are not random. They are intentional. They are accelerating. And they are part of a larger story. A story we're only beginning to understand. The Bentwaters incident, UFOs over a nuclear base. A flash, a silent forest, and a light that shouldn't be there. 1. Introduction. A top-secret base, a glowing object, and no explanation. December 1980. Cold, quiet, remote. Bentwaters and Woodbridge air bases, twin military facilities in Suffolk, England. Officially run by the Royal Air Force. In reality, controlled by the United States Air Force. Unofficially, a nuclear weapons storage site despite the UK's laws forbidding such weapons on its soil. Then, in the darkness of Rendlesham Forest, something happened. Something the US and UK governments refused to explain for decades. Lights in the sky, a glowing object descending into the trees, multiple military witnesses, radiation spikes, and a handwritten memo that would become one of the most infamous UFO documents in the world. This wasn't a sight. This was an intrusion at a base rumored to house nuclear warheads. 2. The event, the Rendlesham Forest Incident 1980. It started on the night of December 26, 1980. Security personnel saw strange lights descending into the nearby woods. Assuming it was a downed aircraft, they went to investigate. What they found changed them forever. The object was metallic, triangular, glowing with a pulsing red and blue light. They described it as levitating, moving silently through the trees. One officer, SKT Jin Peniston, claimed he approached and touched the craft. He said it had strange markings like glyphs, almost Egyptian in design. As soon as he touched it, he experienced a surge of data, later revealed as a binary code downloaded into his mind. He wrote it all down in a notebook, still available today. Then, as suddenly as it came, the object vanished, lifting off silently and disappearing into the sky. 2 nights later, it returned. This time, Lt. Col. Charles Holt, the deputy base commander, led the investigation himself. He recorded the event on an audio tape still available today. There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. It's coming this way. His team experienced bright lights in the forest, metallic craft hovering, beams of light scanning the base, radiation readings off the charts. They later reported a beam of light being shown directly into the weapons storage facility. Why would an unknown craft target a nuclear site? And why did multiple high-ranking military officers report it? This wasn't a single misperception. It was a coordinated event over 3 nights, involving dozens of trained personnel. 3 theories. Why was this UFO at a nuclear base? Why Rendlesham? Why Bentwaters? Why a base rumored to house unauthorized nuclear weapons? There are a few leading theories. Theory 1. Alien surveillance of nuclear arsenals. Many researchers believe UFOs are monitoring nuclear facilities worldwide. Why? Because they've been spotted repeatedly at Los Alamos National Laboratory, USA, Malmstrom Air Force Base, USA, Chernobyl, Ukraine, Fukushima, Japan. Pattern. Every site relates to nuclear energy or weapons. The Rendlesham UFO beamed light into the weapons bunker. Was it scanning, disabling, or sending a warning? This isn't the only case. In 1967, at Malmstrom AFB, 10 nuclear missiles were simultaneously shut down during a UFO sighting. Coincidence or intervention? Theory 2. Secret military technology testing. Another theory is that the object wasn't alien but ours. A black-budget aircraft, a classified drone, a psychological test on military personnel, perhaps a covert NATO program to test responses under extreme conditions. But that doesn't explain the binary code, the glyphs, the electromagnetic disturbances, the long-term health effects reported by the witnesses, and why multiple officials years later publicly confirmed the story. If it was a test, why not declassify it now? Why deny it ever happened? Theory 3. Dimensional or psychic phenomenon. Some suggest it wasn't alien or military, but something else entirely. A dimensional event, a psychic projection. Some even say Rendlesham Forest is a vortex, a site of high geomagnetic activity where the laws of reality briefly change. Peniston's binary code. When decoded, it revealed coordinates to ancient sites around the world, including the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Nazca Lines, Sedona, Arizona, the Temple of Apollo in Greece. Too strange to be true, or too strange not to be true. 4. Emotional reflection. If you were a commander, would you tell the truth? Let's say you're Lt. Col. Charles Holt. You're second in command of a nuclear base. Your men report a metallic, glowing craft descending into nearby woods. You go out yourself. You see it. You record it. You witness lights, radiation, a craft not from here. You write a memo. You submit it. And then? Silence. Denial, suppression. Years later, you're asked again. You say, this was not a hoax. This was not a misidentification. This was real. And the US government is covering it up. Would you risk your reputation? Would you hold onto the truth for decades, waiting for someone to listen? Most wouldn't, but some did. Pentagon, Halt, Burroughs, all men with security clearances, all trained observers, all still saying decades later this happened. So we ask again, if you were there, what would you do? 5. Open-ended conclusion. Why was this story twisted, buried, and ignored? The Rendlesham Forest incident is now known as Britain's Roswell. But unlike Roswell, there were tapes, radiation readings, multiple witnesses, even physical effects. Still it was downplayed, dismissed, bent, even though Halt submitted an official memo to the Ministry of Defense. Pentagon's binary code lined up with sacred global sites. Burroughs won a disability settlement from the U.S. government for exposure to unexplained radiation during the incident. Yet the official stance: nothing unusual occurred. Why? What are they hiding? And why did they try so hard to erase this from the records? The truth may not be buried. It may be filed deep in a vault, marked UAP do not disclose. Maybe the question isn't what landed in Rendlesham Forest. Maybe the question, why did it come to a nuclear base? And what happens the next time it does? The TIC-TC UFO, the video the Pentagon confirmed. Not a rumor, not a hoax. This time it's on video. And the Pentagon said, yes, this is real. 1. Introduction. A shape in the sky, a mystery confirmed. November 2004. Off the coast of California, the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz is running routine training exercises. The skies are clear. The radars are hot. The pilots are among the best in the world. And then, something appears. Not a plane, not a drone, not a missile. A white, capsule-shaped object flying with impossible speed and agility. No wings, no propulsion, no exhaust trail, just smooth, effortless motion. It hovered, darted, vanished, and it was caught on camera. 2. The event, the TIC-TC UFO encounter. They called it the TIC-TC because that's what it looked like. A smooth, oval-shaped object, roughly the size of a fighter jet. But unlike any jet, it could hover silently at 80,000 feet, drop to sea level in less than a second, accelerate at hypersonic speeds, change direction without inertia, disappear instantly. No sonic boom, no radar lock, no explanation. The official record: 2 F-18 Super Hornets were dispatched from the Nimitz. One was piloted by CNDR David Fravor, a veteran Navy pilot. As he approached the object, it started to mimic his movement. When he descended, it climbed. When he moved toward it, it vanished in a blink. Fravor radioed back, "I have no idea what I just saw, but it wasn't from this Earth." Later that day, another pilot's infrared camera locked onto the TIC-TC. The footage shows a white oval moving at incredible speed. No wings, no tail, no propulsion. The pilots' voices stand, laughing, confused. "Look at that thing, dude. It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them." And the best part, this video was released by the Pentagon in 2017 and officially confirmed as authentic. This is not a myth. It's military footage of a real object doing impossible things. 3. Theories. What was the TIC-TC? So, what could it be? Theory 1. Advanced human tech. Some believe it's just classified technology. A next-gen drone, perhaps from a secret U.S. program or even a foreign power. But if that's true, Why would it fly directly into a Navy training zone? Why risk exposing it to the world's most advanced carrier group? Why hasn't any country to this day taken credit for it? And even the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, Christopher Mellon, stated, if this is a foreign technology, it's 50 to 100 years ahead of us. The U.S. military had no explanation, not even internally. Theory 2. Extraterrestrial origin. This is the leading belief among UFO researchers, that the TIC-TAC was not human. Its flight behavior violates Newtonian physics. No sonic boom, no heat signature, no control surfaces. That's not just advanced, that's another paradigm. Fravor said, it accelerated like nothing I've ever seen. I want to fly it, but I don't know how. And what's more disturbing, multiple ships and aircraft tracked the TIC-TAC for 7 days before the incident. That's not a glitch. That's surveillance, a pattern, a presence. Theory 3. Time travelers or interdimensional craft. Here's where it gets even stranger. Some theorists say the TIC-TAC isn't alien. It's human but not from our time. A future craft, or a vehicle that moves between dimensions, not just through space. Its instantaneous movements suggest it's not bound by gravity, or inertia, or the laws we currently understand. If that's true, it didn't fly into our airspace. It simply entered our frame of reference, and then left, for emotional reflection. What happens when there's no longer room for doubt? This wasn't a tabloid article, or a YouTube hoax, or a shaky video from someone's backyard. This was the United States Navy. This was a carrier group, trained pilots, combat systems, and it was confirmed by the Pentagon. So, why isn't the world screaming? Why aren't the headlines constant? Why aren't there emergency meetings at the UN? Because maybe we're afraid that we're not alone, we're not the most advanced, and we're not in control. This changes everything. If that craft is real and not ours, then everything we believe about technology, power, and our place in the universe collapses. That's not just unsettling, that's revolutionary. So instead, most people shrug, or look away, or pretend it's just another video. But deep down they know. 5. Open-ended conclusion. Are we finally ready to face the truth? In 2020, the U.S. Department of Defense established the UAP Task Force tasked with analyzing these types of encounters. In 2021, the Director of National Intelligence released a public UAP report. And what did it say? These objects demonstrate advanced technology. We have no explanation. And now, the Pentagon has renamed it again. The Aerial Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, a government office dedicated to investigating UFOs. Let that sink in. They're not laughing anymore. They're studying. They're admitting. But still they're not fully disclosing. So, we ask, how many more videos exist? How many more pilots have stories they're too scared to tell? How long has this been happening? And most importantly, what does the TIC-TAC want? Is it a probe, a messenger, a monitor, or something else entirely? We don't know. But one thing is certain. It was here. It was real. And we captured it. The only question that remains is, what are we going to do about it? Did NASA cut the feed because of a UFO, the space station incident? A sudden flash, a strange object appears. Then NASA cuts the live stream. Coincidence? Or something they didn't want us to see? 1. Introduction. The camera was rolling till it wasn't. For years, NASA has streamed live video from the International Space Station ISS. 24/7. A window into space, Earth, and sometimes the unknown. Millions have watched. But in July 2016, something happened that made even skeptics pause. A mysterious object, glowing, moving, entered the frame. Then within seconds the feed was cut. No warning, no explanation, just this message. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. Was it a glitch? Or was someone hiding something? 2. The event. ISS live feed captures a strange object. It was a normal day on the ISS. Astronauts floated. Earth rotated below. And the camera faced space. That's when UFO hunters noticed it. A glowing object, appearing slowly from the top of the screen. Shaped like a disc. Silent, smooth, reflective. It hovered, then shifted direction. And just before it moved fully into view, the screen turned blue. No sound, no countdown, no warning. Just gone. NASA cut the feed. One viewer tweeted, "They saw something, and they didn't want us to see it." The video went viral. Millions viewed it. Conspiracies exploded. And NASA, they said nothing. No confirmation. No denial. Just silence. 3. Theories. Why would NASA shut down the stream? The mystery deepened. The object had no visible wings, no blinking lights, no solar panels like satellites, and it moved with intention. So, what could it be? Theory 1. Alien reconnaissance craft. One theory. The object was a UFO observing the ISS. A scout ship, perhaps unmanned, perhaps intelligent. What was it doing? Monitoring human technology, studying Earth's orbit, tracking radiation or defense systems. Or maybe it was just watching, like we watch ants in a terrarium. And when NASA realized what was on camera, they pulled the plug. Not because they were surprised, but because it had happened before. Theory 2. A classified satellite or military object. Another explanation. It was a secret military satellite, something not meant for public eyes. Maybe it belonged to the US, or China, or Russia. Some believe space surveillance platforms operate quietly in orbit, invisible to radar. Was this one accidentally caught on camera? Was the feed cut to protect national security? If so, why didn't NASA just say that? Why the silence? Theory 3. A dimensional anomaly. Some theorists take it further. What if the object wasn't flying through space, but into it? A dimensional tear. A breach. A probe crossing into our reality from another timeline. NASA shutting the feed wasn't about hiding aliens. It was about hiding a glitch in reality. A break in the simulation. Too much. Maybe. But what's more unbelievable? An interdimensional doorway. Or a billion-dollar agency that just happened to lose signal when something unexplained appeared. 4. Emotional reflection. What if the truth was staring at us and we looked away? Imagine this. You're watching a peaceful feed of Earth from space. Then something unusual appears. Something that doesn't fit. Something your instinct screen isn't normal. Then the feed cuts. Gone. No explanation. You check the news, nothing. You ask NASA, silence. You post online, people laugh. Or worse, they say you're imagining it. Now imagine this has happened not once, but dozens of times. In different years, different missions, different angles. Always the same pattern. Unknown object. Public confusion. Feed interrupted. Wouldn't you start to wonder? Wouldn't you start to doubt what you're told? And more importantly, would you stop trusting the screen in front of you? 5. Patterns. This wasn't the first time NASA lost signal. July 9, 2016 wasn't unique. Similar incidents include March 2014. A glowing orb appears to rise from Earth into the ISS camera's view. The feed cuts mid-orbit. NASA blames signal loss. but no weather or solar interference was reported. April 2013, an astronaut begins describing a strange reflection outside the window. The audio cuts, then the video. NASA later says it was a radio dropout, but the recording was crystal clear until that moment. 2019, during a spacewalk, a bright light crosses the background behind an astronaut tethered to the ISS. It moves against Earth's rotation. No satellite matches the object's path. Within 30 seconds, the screen goes black. NASA never comments. 6. What are they hiding and why? NASA has long been the symbol of exploration, science, discovery, but it's also a government agency with military ties and a strict information protocol. So the question isn't just what they saw, it's why they won't talk about it. What's more dangerous, telling the public we're not alone, or admitting that we don't know what's up there? There's a difference between classified and inconvenient. Which one is this, and who decides what we're allowed to know? 7. Open-ended conclusion. When cameras go silent, the questions grow louder. The ISS flies above us constantly. It records the Earth, the stars, the void, and sometimes it sees something else. But every time that something appears, the screen goes dark. It's no longer about if we're being watched. It's about why we're not allowed to see it. Because if this object was innocent, a weather balloon, a satellite, a reflection, then NASA would say so. But they didn't, and they won't. So we're left with only one conclusion. Whatever that was, it wasn't meant for our eyes. But maybe it saw us. Are they already among us? What if disclosure has quietly begun? What if we've been waiting for disclosure, but it already happened? 1. Introduction. The biggest secret may not be hidden, just ignored. We search the skies. We demand answers. We wait for governments to tell us the truth. But what if disclosure didn't come with sirens, but silence? What if it didn't arrive in the news, but in whispers? What if the truth was never locked away, but hidden in plain sight? 2. The evidence has been stacking up piece by piece. Let's connect the dots. 1947, Roswell. The Air Force says it's a weather balloon, then decades later admits to secret crash recovery operations. 1951, Lubbock Lights. Scientists see formations of glowing disks with no wings and no sound. 1997, Phoenix Lights. A V-shaped craft flies over a major city. 10,000 witnesses. The military says it was flares. 2004, Tic-Tac UFO, caught on camera, chased by Navy jets, released and confirmed by the Pentagon. 2021, UAP report. The U.S. government admits, yes, they're real. No, we don't know what they are. ISS feed cuts. Repeated interruptions when unknown objects approach. Whistleblowers. Leaked videos. Pilots speaking out. Again and again. Still think it's just coincidence. Still think disclosure is something we're waiting for. 3. Theory. The slow disclosure strategy. Some believe this is all part of a controlled narrative. A soft landing. Not one giant announcement, but a drip feed of truth. Little by little, letting society adjust, avoiding panic. Because, think about it, if a world leader stepped forward and said, "We are not alone, and they're already here," what would happen? Markets crash, religions shaken, systems collapse. But if you reveal it slowly, in documentaries, news leaks, declassified files, in videos that people can choose to believe or not, then you control the fallout, you shape the belief, and you avoid mass chaos. 4. Theory. They've been here longer than we think. Another theory is even more shocking. They're not arriving. They're not invading. because they never left, because they were always here, among us, watching, shaping, guiding, or manipulating. Could ancient aliens have laid the foundation for civilization, built the pyramids, encoded mathematics into architecture, appeared to prophets, kings, scientists? We see their fingerprints in Sumerian tablets, Mayan temples, star maps older than history itself. Were they mistaken for gods? Or did we forget they were ever real? 5. Theory: they're walking beside us right now. Here's the wildest possibility: that some of them look like us, indistinguishable, living normal lives, embedded in society, studying, interacting, working in labs, teaching in universities, or watching from positions of power. Aerospace, tech, military. Could the reason disclosure hasn't happened be because they're the ones managing it? Think that's far-fetched? Even the late former Canadian Defense Minister, Paul Hellyer, claimed aliens are living among us and have been for years. He wasn't a fringe theorist. He ran a country's defense, and he wasn't alone. Other former officials have whispered the same. 6. Emotional reflection. Would you even want to know the truth? Let's ask the hardest question. If you were offered absolute proof, would you take it? A folder with undeniable evidence. Videos, documents, biological samples. But opening it would shatter everything you thought was real. Would you still open it? Because truth comes with a cost. If they're real, then we're not the center of the universe. If they're here, then our governments aren't the highest authority. If they're advanced, then our weapons are useless. Our borders are meaningless. Our world becomes smaller. Would that make you feel awe or fear? 7. Disclosure isn't one moment. It's many. Maybe we misunderstood what disclosure means. It's not a press conference, not a spaceship landing on the White House lawn. It's the pieces we already have: the declassified footage, the radar data, the pilot testimonies, the abduction stories we laughed off, the ancient texts we ignored. Disclosure isn't one event, it's a pattern. And the more we look, the clearer it becomes. Maybe disclosure isn't waiting to happen. Maybe we're just late to realize it already did. 8. Open-ended conclusion. So now what? What does this mean? It means we need to ask different questions. Not are they real, but why are they here? What do they want? Are they watching us or warning us? Have we already made contact? And if so, who's speaking for us? Because someone knows. Someone has the data. Someone has the answers. But they're not telling us. Not yet. So it's up to us, the curious, the open-minded, the believers and skeptics alike, to keep asking, to keep watching, to keep listening. Because one day the silence will break and the truth will speak. But when it does, will we be ready? Or will we miss it again?